I had all this energy. I was super excited. Okay, I'm gonna build a team, and I got the team, and and then boom, that person, fell out from underneath me, and I'm like, okay, all right, there's nothing that I can do about it. I can't change the outcome. So I can either sit here and cry, which I was doing, or I could say, you know what? Maybe that person wasn't meant to be in my project. And if I giving up is easy. That's the easy way out. People give up every single day. But I've always said if I can push one more day past the person who gave up, I'm one step closer.
Welcome to the Female Entrepreneur Musician Podcast with Bree Noble. Bree is a musician, entrepreneur, speaker, and founder of Women of Substance Music Radio and Podcast. Bree's interviews with successful female musicians and industry pros are both inspirational and informational. She also answers your questions about the music business. Bree is on a mission to help you create great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business, and to truly become a female entrepreneur musician.
Hey, this is Bree Noble, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Female Entrepreneur Musician Podcast, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. I have got a great interview with our next guest today, and it is quite a lengthy one, but it is all so good. It's one of those ones where I thought about breaking it up into two, and then I thought, you know what? I started just putting these out every 2 weeks. So I think you guys can handle a little bit longer interview, and everything in here is just so good. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew it was going to be a little bit longer. You might have to break this episode into two, but everything that she has to say is going to be really helpful for you because she's basically grown up in the business. And although she's independent right now, she has a lot of experience within the business and people in the business. And I know that you guys are really going to get a lot out of my interview with Djoir Jordan. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Djoir Jordan grew up in Los Angeles, California, where she co-starred in a kids' TV show called Colby's Clubhouse. Djoir is now an accomplished singer and songwriter and maybe the freshest artist to hit the pop rock dance scene in a long time. Her positive message, #ToBeDiamondCut, means to be unique and shine your light in the world, and has people of all ages supporting her and wanting to be a part of the Diamond Cut team. Djoir has worked with huge national acts like LMFAO, Red Foo, Hawk of Quest Crew, DEV, Hypercrush, 112, Aaron Carter, Mr. Dalvin DeGrate of Jodeci, and many more. She's had multiple placements on film and TV and has charted with both of her last two singles, Control and Right Now. Last year, Djoir won 2 LA Music Awards, including Pop Single of the Year and Best Solo Performer of the Year. But best of all, and this is my little addition here, she is down to earth. She is an amazing person, and I know that you are going to love listening to my interview with Djoir. So that's a little bit about Djoir. So Djoir, is there anything that's not in your bio that you want to tell our listeners that's maybe a little bit more personal about you?
Personal. Oh my goodness. We're getting right into the
we're starting
juicy
off
stuff
yeah.
right away. Well, I was thinking, I'm like, well, I'm doing my album. That's like not in the, a lot of people are waiting on music, but man, I can't think of something juicy right off of the hand. Can we come back to that one?
Sure. I think we'll probably pick up something juicy along the way.
I'm sure, yeah.
So how did you get started in music?
Well, I started really, really young. I was singing and dancing on stage since 3. I come from a musical family, so naturally, I grew up singing in church. And from there, I just loved performing and dancing and all sorts of stuff. And I got on a kids' TV show and traveling singing groups. And as I grew up, I started developing all those, very important qualities and discipline and all those different things, and then started to sing in high school and doing hooks for rappers and things like that, and auditions, and just kept with it.
So let's unpack that a little bit. Are you Are you born in LA?
Yes, born and raised Southern California girl. I was actually born in La Mirada, so a little East
Okay.
LA love.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
Uh, and did you like, how did you get into the performing thing so young? Like, did you just kind of fall into it, or did you specifically, did your parents mean for you to get involved in things? And, how did you get on a kids' TV show, that kind of thing?
So, like I said, I started singing in church. So my grandmother was actually a pastor, and she's very musical. She's actually been the backbone to our entire family as far as music goes, giving us violins and piano lessons and, having us do performances and, stuff like that. So naturally, at a very young age, we were, thrown up on stage like, hey, do this, or talent show or whatever. But my mom, as a single mother, she saw that I loved performing and stuff like that. And my sister had actually come to my mom and said, "There's this traveling kids singing group called Kids Praise Club. I think she should try out." And my mom was like, "Okay, but I mean." I don't even know the first thing to do. My mom is not a singer. She's more of like a piano player and stuff like that. So my sister, I'm the baby of five kids. So my oldest sister, she's a singer. She did some backup singing for artists and things like that. And so she helped me get ready for my audition. And that was my first one. It was filmed, it was recorded, and I was nervous. And so I auditioned and got in the kids group. And then from there, that kids group did a big show at Anaheim Stadium. It's called the Harvest Kids Crusade.
Oh, okay.
And one of the people involved in that show was Peter Jacobs, who is the creator of Colby's Clubhouse. He was starting a kids' TV show. Colby's Clubhouse is like almost like a cross between Barney meets Mickey Mouse Club. And I had one of the lead roles, and he really, really liked me a lot. That they pulled my mom aside and said, "Hey, we're going to open up the auditions to the entire group, but we want to make sure that she's going to be there." And so my mom was like, "Okay." So then, I went to that audition, and there was like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 kids or more around that amount that auditioned, and I believe I was one of like I don't even remember how many kids were in it, maybe like 24 kids. So I did that for 4.5 years. And that's what really like, being in front of the camera, and we had to do voiceovers, and we had to do, recording our voice in a real studio, and that gave me a lot of experience in front of the camera and, in the booth. And then I just really fell in love with it and continued to pursue it, just started singing. The more you sing and the more you let people know what your dreams are or what kind of talents you have, the more opportunities come. So once I started, singing with friends, then people were like, "Oh, can you sing this hook in for my, I'm a rapper, can you sing a hook for me?" And so I'd go in, I'd sing the hook or write, and yeah, it just was one thing led to another. But yeah, it was just taking opportunities that showed themselves, not saying no, pretty much.
Now, were you doing all this while you were still in school?
Yeah, actually, the majority of my life I was homeschooled, so I was actually able to do a lot more things than the average kid. I could travel, I could, go to rehearsals, and I was a gymnast too. So between music and dance and gymnastics, my whole life was full of a lot of activities.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, so now that so can I ask how old are you now?
I actually like to keep that a mystery,
Oh, man. Okay.
because honestly, and I think being a woman yourself and in this crazy industry, there is such a I don't know, people always like to me, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, because I've had an old soul my entire life. I was, 16 and people thinking that I was 28,
Mm.
So like I've always had an old soul. So to me, I'm like, you know, the music industry puts so much pressure on women in general about age and beauty and all these different pressures that like that to me is so not as important. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally agree. And that's definitely not why I asked you. I was just curious because it seems like you've done so much and you seem so young.
Yes,
And I know
yes.
what you're doing now,
Yeah.
you know.
No, definitely. And it's just a lot of hustle, you know?
Right. So at this point, do you consider yourself a full-time musician or are you kind of doing something on the side that, to kind of keep things going?
Yeah, so I mean, I am definitely a full-time musician. I put the majority of my time and energy into music. It has to be a full-time job, to me. And you start out as, doing it here and there, but as you start doing more and more, it kind of takes over. But I do still have, I'm a very passionate person, not only about music, but also about fitness and gymnastics. So I actually enjoy I like work with kids and I work with a dance studio where they have me come in and teach them acro. And to me, it's like really, really fun because I love tumbling and I love working with kids and being that mentor to them and that support. So, yes, I do music full time, but I'm also an acro or gymnastics coach and I do personal training as well. So it's like really the best of both worlds. I can't complain about that.
Oh, for sure. It sounds like everything you're doing is things that you're passionate about instead of having some kind of drudgery job that you're doing in order to support your music. So that's an awesome
Yeah,
thing that you've
thank
accomplished
you.
there.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's hard as a musician to find a job where there's flexible hours where, I know that I can leave on tour for a month. Like back in April, I did a Mediterranean tour and I was able to leave for a month and come back and it's like family. I have clients that are just like, "Oh, Dior," It's like I told them I had a one of my clients come in. She's like, "Before you know it, you're just going to leave us." And I'm like, "Honestly, I feel like I would want to stay no matter what." They're like,
Right.
"Yeah, right." I'm like, "But I really do love you guys." Like if I could make it happen, like, Brooke Burke, she still teaches classes and that's like her, thing. So, you know,
Yeah, why not? I mean, if you can be in control of your schedule, you can just have like mini tours. You don't need to go, on the road for an entire
yeah,
year.
exactly. Anything is possible. I'm never saying
Life,
no to anything.
absolutely, life by
That's
design.
right.
So there's a lot of struggling musicians that listen to this show, and I'm wondering if was there a time where you felt very frustrated with your music career, and maybe you were hitting a wall, or you felt like you might just give up, and how did you push through that? And what kind of advice would you give to people that really have a dream of doing music and are just kind of frustrated?
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many times I have wanted to give up. So many nights that I've cried myself to sleep. So many days where I've literally just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed because it is such a roller coaster industry that we're in. I spent some time in girl groups and which is really what got me into the industry is being involved in that. And sometimes, you put your heart and your passion into projects and ultimately it when you're working with, a team of people or groups, it's like a marriage, you know?
Hmm.
And we got close to getting signed to Universal and all these meetings. And then you have everything done, all the music, all of this. And you're like, yes, this is it. I'm leaving on tour. We got it. Like next year, Grammys, that's gonna be us. And then, somebody drops out or, things take over where it's out of your control. And it's hard, and I would say, gosh, I can't even choose like one because there's been so many, but one that comes up to my in my mind was I finally when I left the group and I decided to go solo, I had a manager who, mentored me and he did a lot for jump starting my solo career. And then things kind of fizzled out. We got to a point where it was like, as much as you can go, and then it kind of was like, at a standstill. And I decided to take the bull by its horns. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just take the bull by its horns and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna not take no for an answer and I'm just gonna take any opportunity and I'm gonna make a team. And I was so motivated. And I was like, yes, this is it. And then I found, a band and I was working with somebody who, was a great guitar player and had a really great history and Grammy nominated, all these different stuff. And I'm like, yes, this is it. And we were starting to do shows. And then all of a sudden, the person that I felt was my mentor, that was really, getting me started and teaching me how to do a live show properly and all these things, he he ended up just like, how do I say this? He ended up having things that were out of my control and things that he needed to take care of himself. And he called me up and was just like, boom, I can't do this because, I'm leaving. I'm like moving away, right?
Oh,
And I was literally sitting there on my phone. I can remember because I was in between teaching a class actually. And I'm on the phone and I'm like, wait, what do you mean? Like, he's like, I'm sorry, but I just have to take this other opportunity and I can't help you anymore. And I'm like, uh, and I felt like at that moment, I felt, what am I going to do? I had all this energy. I was super excited. Okay, I'm gonna build a team, and I got the team, and and then boom, that person, fell out from underneath me, and I'm like, okay, all right, there's nothing that I can do about it. I can't change the outcome. So I can either sit here and cry, which I was doing, or I could say, you know what? Maybe that person wasn't meant to be in my project. And if I giving up is easy. That's the easy way out. People give up every single day. But I've always said if I can push one more day past the person who gave up, I'm one step closer. So because I've always had that in my head from the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to be defeated by somebody else's choices. I'm going to keep on going. And it took me a while to find the right guitar player and the right people and the right fit and trial and error. And, you know, great moments where you're like, oh, I think I found somebody. And then boom, they really weren't the right person anyways. But I got to tell you, all of those different hardships and times where you're just like, I can't do it because of somebody else, or I can't, do it anymore because of all this disappointment. It's like there's more than enough people out there in the world that will believe in your project, and more than enough people that would love to be involved in what you do, and not I don't I feel like I'm like all over the place with what I'm saying, but I just really just told myself that I didn't want to be defeated, and give up just because of somebody else's, because it didn't work out, and I feel like there are different things that come in and out of your life to teach you lessons, and I wouldn't have learned so many lessons if I didn't go through that disappointment, because life is full of disappointments, but it's how you look at the situation that you can either make it better and stronger for you, or you can just, play the victim and never get anywhere. So, yeah, I think that answers your question, maybe.
oh my gosh, I think you should become an inspirational speaker. Like that was so inspiring. I think that's really going to be inspiring to our listeners because yes, we do have those days where we're sobbing.
Yeah.
And I mean when it comes down to it, and this is something I learned in my career, it is all about your own personal motivation because you can't control other people.
No, you can't.
And there are going to be people that are going to screw you over. There are going to be people that break down. There are going to be people that are a bad fit. I certainly went through my share of, I had my girl group experience and that was absolutely emotionally exhausting,
Oh, yeah. Totally.
So, there are going to be experiences like that, but it made me so much stronger when I decided to go out on my own because it made me realize I could do it on my own. I always thought I had to have these other people.
Yeah, and I think that having a good team is really, really important, but having the right team, because I think like sometimes as musicians and as women, we settle for something less just because it's available. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like
Oh,
whether it's a
absolutely.
man, whether it's our job, whether it's our music, whatever. There's a lot of times, I don't want to speak for all women, but there's a lot of times that we we settle for a lower standard than what we should because we're like, oh, I'm never going to find anyone like that, or I'm never going to find an opportunity, or I'm never going to, and you think all these negative thoughts, and we have to remember that thoughts become things. So you're thinking, oh, I have to work with this sleazeball person because they're giving me an opportunity. And it's like, no, you don't have to work with anybody that you don't want to. You should have that feeling inside that you're like, oh my God. Like to me now, being through the last like year and a half of all these ups and downs and changing out different team members and, you know, um, being signed, and I literally left my label 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. And, you have to remember that it's it's a journey. It's exciting. If it was easy, if it comes easy, it's going to leave easy. And you have to remember that you don't have to settle. I don't care if the person is Jimmy Iovine or Joe Schmo on, around the corner. If the person is right for you, it'll feel good and it will work. It shouldn't be a challenge. It shouldn't be an argument. It shouldn't be, this tug and pull like crazy. It should just feel right. And I feel like I can honestly say that my entire team, I love my entire team. I was talking with somebody the other day and I was saying, I don't care how long I have to wait for the right people to come into my life. If it's the right people, it's going to work. And if it takes 5 years or 10 years or 5 minutes, then you'll know it's right when it's right. But, starting out, you just think that like, oh, this person's worked with so and so and so and so, but they're treating me horribly as a person, as a human being. No, thank you. Next. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. And I just say amen to all of that you just said. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And it's so true. We need to stand up for ourselves. And I mean, if you feel like the producer that you're working with is not above board, then get out. Like, I don't care if you're in the middle of your album.
You're wasting time.
Yes.
Wasting money, you're wasting time. Time is money, and yeah, get out. It's not worth it. Because if your true destiny is to do music and to be, performing on stage, your life plan is already made out for you. All you have to do is listen to that inner voice and allow that inner voice to guide you, and you're never ever going to fail unless you're supposed to. Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely. Well, so was there one event or, a specific thing that happened in your career that really made you feel like you moved to the next level?
Yeah, actually, after I took the bull by its horns and I started working my tail off and I said, I'm not going to say no to any opportunity. I'm just going to say yes and figure it out. Once I started doing that, opportunities started to just come in, and an old friend of mine called me up and said, hey, what do you think about getting together and writing and trying to do some song placements? I was like, sweet, let's do it. So we started working on that. The same time that started happening, I teamed up with a DJ, and he asked me to feature on his single that he was going to release. And all of this was kind of like, in the pot, stirring, all at the same time. And the first single came out. It was Control. We actually made it onto Beatport Top 100 charts. And I was like, wow, like I just charted on the dance. Like, that sounds funny. I just charted. But that's like the 12-year-old little girl inside.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, I just made it on the charts. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And then, I finished the songs that I did with Dave Whiteside and submitted them for film and television placement. And while they were going through that whole process, I did another feature with that DJ, and we made it to number 13 in the UK. And I'm like, holy cow, 2 for 2? Like, that's insane. So like that moment of making it onto the charts was like, whoa, like I've doubted myself so many times, but for some reason it's working right now. Like this is awesome, you know? And then after that, it was like boom, release those two songs for placements, and I got a placement on the movie trailer for Best Night Ever, and then the last song that I released was called Party Apocalypse, and that has been placed 3 times. So I think like all of that to say yes, like all of those moments were like whoa, but I think the coolest moment, which super sad, I'll tell you why, but coolest moment, but I was like such a loser too because my song was placed on the hit TV show Rush. And it was the first time that I was ever going to hear my song like on TV, like national, right? And everyone was like busy that night because I wanted people to come over and like watch the show and like get all
Mm.
excited. And so I turn on, I'm like home alone. I turn on the show and the song comes on and I'm literally jumping by myself, like in my living room by myself. I'm like, oh my God, it's there. Like, oh, and I'm like, wow, I'm such a loser by myself, but this is so cool. I was like dancing around with my 2 dogs. But it was cool because that moment was like my first national, on TV placement. So that memory sticks out. It's hard for me to narrow down just one because like this last year and a half, 2 years has been like a whirlwind of craziness. So yeah, when you ask me like what's the one, I'm like, there's too many to choose. But I'm very thankful for that problem. It's like a champagne problem, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that moment was pretty cool and I'm like, I arrived on TV. So and they played like over 3 minutes of that song, which is completely unheard of.
That is. I thought you were going to tell me it was on for like 10 seconds,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
actually, yeah, I was really surprised. I'm like, and it's still going. I'm like, and I'm still dancing 3 minutes in my living room. So
That's funny. That's funny.
yeah.
Well, I have one question that I like to ask artists, but I wanted to expand this with you. And I usually ask what you think makes you unique. But I did notice that on your website, you've got a very specific message about being diamond cut and being in the Diamond Cut Club and that. And I really like that message. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that and how you try to weave that into your artist personality as being unique.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, just taking a step back as far as like where that came from, my birthstone is a diamond. I'm an April baby.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Really? When's your birthday?
Yes. 28.
Okay, I'm April 12th. But still close, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, my birthstone is a diamond. And, I was going through this whole growth. I read this book, The 10-Second Philosophy. And that book gave me, kind of like that little push in the tush to like move forward, and
Mm.
really try to find your true self and what your message is and what your standards are as not only a person, but for me, I took it as an artist and all these different things. And I was like, diamond, I was like, diamond, diamond, Dior, diamond, diamond, diamond cut. And I was like, oh, let me look online what diamond cut means. And obviously I know what diamond cut means, but just like the actual definition, it was like, said something like, when light hits the diamond, it reflects color into the world. And I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a light into people's lives.
Mm.
I wanted to just be a light to the world. And when I read that, I was like, wow, diamond cut. Okay, like I'm going to base my entire project off of being diamond cut, being unique, standing out, and reflecting my light into the world. And I think it's important. Also, when I went on tour to Japan, and it was crazy to see the culture there because living in the United States or living in California, we take for granted so much. Like if you were a sidewalk sweeper, you'd probably not be doing it with a smile. You'd probably just be like, oh, like, oh God, when is this going to be done? People get so much attitude and so much entitlement for, having whatever kind of job they have. And when I was on tour in Japan, like, you literally could have been like cleaning toilets and they had a smile on their face and they were just like, I'm so happy to be alive. Like I could do
Mm.
anything and I'm happy for my job, and just thankful and appreciative. And so with that being said, I was like, every single person, whether you're doing your passions and your dreams, you can shine your light in whatever it is that you do. Whether it's you're the mailman, you're the mailman. Like that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like shining, you give people like the stuff that they need. Like that's amazing. Like that person is shining their light into other people's lives by doing that service. I know it's like a really weird concept, but anyway.
No, but I always think about that when I need a plumber or something, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have no abilities, neither does my husband. And I'm like, thank God that somebody has the abilities of being a plumber, and, please shine your light into my bathroom and fix my,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So when I initially thought of Diamond Cut, I was like, wow, yeah, that's strong. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like chills. You're like, this is it. I found what I want to base my entire project about, and how to, you know, tell people to be unique and reflect your personal light into the world. And it's okay to stand out and have those different qualities that maybe some people, like I was made fun of a lot of my entire life. People made fun of me, but like there's things about me that I can't change because I was just born that way, or I'm just quirky, or I'm like, I'm silly or whatever. And for the longest time as a kid growing up, you're like, what's wrong with me? Like, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's just you're uniquely made and you do have a purpose. And that I was like, this is going to be how I'm going to spread my message to other, people in the world, that it's okay to be unique and stand out. Because sometimes, we get locked in this pigeonhole of places of, you can't do that. Don't say this. Don't do this. Anyway, so, yeah, that's how I kind of came about with Diamond Cut, and that's what it means. Be unique, stand out, and reflect your light. And I got to tell you, when I first, anytime that you have ideas, it's a very vulnerable place to be. Very vulnerable because you're putting your heart and soul out there. You're like, this is my idea. It's personal to you. Same thing with like writing and music and stuff like that. And I told a couple of people, I was like, hey, what do you think of Diamond Cut? And they were like, what? No. They're like, that is so dumb. Like, don't ever say that ever again. Like, that's so 80s, like, or whatever. I don't know. And I was like, really? You think it's 80s? I'm like, Diamond Cut? Really? Like, I think that would be awesome. And they're like, no, no, no. You should just don't do that. Just stick to talking about parting and being Hollywood. I'm like, that's not really me, But I don't know. And I kind of like started getting like, okay, maybe I won't do it. Maybe it is dumb. You start second guessing yourself because people are like, no. And then I decided to just like test it out on somebody that I didn't know. Somebody that I met at Starbucks, and they're like, oh, you're a singer? I'm like, yeah. They're like, what's your whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I just said, yeah, it's like, Diamond Cut, be unique, stand out, reflect your light. They're like, whoa, are you serious? That's amazing. And I was like, yeah. Like in my head, I was like, what? Like it? I'm like, wait, what? Like, you're not supposed to like it. Everyone told me that it was going to suck and it's never going to work. And I was like, that kind of gave me like, okay, maybe this is okay, and started telling other people. And honestly, like, it's everything that I base my project off of. Every single person involved is uniquely made with a purpose. And I wouldn't want it any other way. And that just shows you, and it gives me confirmation as an artist to never second guess the ideas that you have, because people will never truly understand you until you understand yourself. And once you understand yourself, then people will jump on board. So if that's like a little bit more inspiration for other, artists and stuff like that. So
I love that story. I love that you tested it on someone you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a perfect way to do it, to give yourself confidence.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just don't get it. I mean, when I first started Women of Substance Radio, I'd get these people like, women of substance, is that like women that eat too much?
Yeah.
And then like another one was like, oh, is this for people that have substance abuse problems? I'm like, no, like it clearly says here, substance,
Yeah.
the definition of substance and how that relates to music, and how it's not just about, party throwaway music. It's about deep music. And, but it's like people, they just have a gut reaction and they're not thinking about what it actually is. And for some reason to that person that sounded 80s to them. Who knows why
Yeah.
they thought Diamond Cut sounded 80s, but they had some weird association in their mind. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your idea. So I'm glad that you stuck with that, because that was the first thing I noticed when I went to your website.
Thank you. Yeah,
Which,
it's definitely something that I've based my entire project around. And it's been, once you know your purpose and like what your project is about, it's easier to make decisions, because you're like, wait, that person, I'm just throwing this out there and I'm making it up. That person, goes out every single day and drinks until they pass out. Is that Diamond Cut? No.
mm.
Or is that person treating people really, really mean and awful or whatever? Is that Diamond Cut? No, I don't want that surrounded by me. I can support them and love on them and be their friend, but the inner circle of what's surrounding the project, I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's Diamond Cut, So it's easy for me. It's like, okay, I can base everything off of that, and even check myself if I'm having a moment, So yeah.
I like that. I like that litmus test. So you just said that you left your label 2 weeks ago. Is that that's really true? And so what's going on with your project now?
So yeah, I mean, I am actually. I think. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. I have two Yorkies.
Ah.
They always like. I feel like anytime that I do radio interviews, they're always like, "Ruff, I'm over here." But yeah, I mean, I am still really good friends with the owners of the label that I was at, and it just wasn't the right fit for right now. And now with the project, I'm connecting with so many amazing producers and songwriters and people that are so on fire for the project that I am in the process of, recording my EP, which I'm looking to release in early 2016, and lots of meetings with different, publishing companies and things like that. I mean, nowadays it's like I have conversations with people all the time, because if you have a strong enough fan base, do you really need a label?
Right.
Do you? That's like the question nowadays. It's like, do you need a label to do things? Really, labels have become just bank account, or like not bank accounts, but loans, you know?
Right.
And if you can make the relationships and the connections with the right people, you can actually, do a release on your own and keep the majority of the money. So, as far as where the project is going, I know that, the music is going, the, licensing opportunities are there. And I'm not really thinking about, I mean, if an opportunity comes, and like I said, if it's the right opportunity, if it feels good, if it's like good people, then, we'll cross that road as it comes. But I don't know, it's still an exciting time. I'm actually like, I mean, I was sad because it's like, it's like a breakup. You're like, oh, but I'm actually excited. I'm like, oh, it opens up more opportunity to work with, more amazing people. Your hands are not crossed.
Yes,
So,
it really does. You've got all your control back,
yeah.
which is great.
Yeah, it's good.
So you were talking about building your fan base. How do you find is the best way for you to build your fan base? Is it online? Is it in person? Is it all of the above? And what have been the best channels for you to really build relationships with fans and find new fans?
Yeah, it's a combination of all of it. Twitter has been amazing to me. I'm just about to hit, I think I'm close to like 70,000 followers on Twitter, which has grown like crazy in the last
Yeah.
like.
So how did you do that? Because I have over 7,000.
Yeah, no, it's insane. I looked at other artists that are, I looked at other artists like Taylor Swift, for instance. Why does Taylor Swift have so many amazing fans? Like, think about it. You're like, well, because she's Taylor Swift. No, no, no. What does she do? She engages with her fans. She talks to them. She cares about her fans. And I simply just started engaging with my fans. And because I was that person for them, actually talking to them, because 9 times out of 10, if you're messaging an artist, you have somebody else talking for them,
Mm-hmm.
there's somebody else speaking for them. And or you get like I forget what app it was, but I was like following Katy Perry, and she sends you a message and you're like, oh, thanks, Katie. And then it's another automated message, and then another automated message. You're like, you just sent that. Like, you're like,
Mm.
that's not really you. So what I did is I just started engaging and talking and getting to know these people. And, naturally, if you're engaging and having a conversation, you're probably going to say, oh, I met this artist or this person. You got to check him out. And then that person looks it up and then hopefully follows, and then you engage with them. And it's like, it's a ripple effect. And, it started out, I used to get excited at like 2 new followers a day, and then it was 6, and then it was 8, and then it was, 50. And then, now sometimes it's like 300 to 400 new followers a day because, people are making fan pages and spreading the message and spreading the word, and just other people being the messengers, and it's been amazing to see the growth on Twitter as far as that goes. And of course, always having content, because the more you post, the more people are going to be engaged. So, you know, it's so funny because I started just saying good morning and good night. Not only that, but saying, hey, good morning, guys. Have an awesome day. Go kill it. Go. I shouldn't say kill it, especially with everything going on. But go have an
Mm.
awesome day. Like, go out there and make your dreams happen. Or all right, guys, I'm going to bed. See ya. And obviously messages and pictures in between. But just by doing that consistency, there's like this one. I, there's one that stands out to me, but one of the girls on Twitter, she's like, hello, Djoir, get up. Like, if I don't say it, she's like, hello, are you awake? Like, hello, what are you doing? Like, hi, are you up now? Are you moving? So then I'm like, oh gosh, like, people like to know what you're up to, and that consistency. So Twitter's been awesome because I don't have to make sure that I'm all dolled up for the pictures, and I can just say, like, hey guys, like, what inspires you? And I engage, like, instead of just saying, like, hey, this is what I'm eating, this is what I'm doing, like, this is me, 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 me. I've actually made it more about other people, asking them, like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Like, what kind of music do you like? Who's your favorite artist? Or what do you choose? Now they have a poll thing. You can do, like, Coke or Pepsi, just out of curiosity. Like, I don't even drink soda, but just to see what people are out. Or do you listen to the radio or streaming music? And more people do streaming music and podcasts. So it's just like, getting people involved in conversation. Nobody likes to I mean, people like to listen, but not forever. You know
Right.
what I mean? They're not going to sit there and be like, oh my God, this person, you know what I mean? All they do is talk about themselves. And unless they're, obviously getting something out of it. But yeah, it's I don't know, I just started engaging with them, asking what they wanted. I'm probably going to ask them what the title of my EP should be, and give them a couple of suggestions and see what they say. Get them really, really involved. But besides Twitter, Instagram is good. I don't nearly, I have like, I don't know, maybe like 27,000 followers, or 30,000, something like that on Instagram, which is great. But I don't keep up with it nearly as much because Twitter's been so amazing. And then, yeah, I can't remember the rest of your question. I get really sidetracked. I could like talk for hours. I have my mom's. I
No,
have my
but
mom's like talking gene.
you're very interesting.
Thank you.
So, how much time do you spend on Twitter, just out of curiosity for the artists listening? Like per day?
Like how many tweets?
No, like how much time are you actually spending with the, posting and engaging and all the, because I
Anytime
mean,
that I
to
have
build
fun.
to 70,000 fans is a lot of fans.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. And I'm super thankful for that. Anytime that I can, I will. So like if I'm driving not driving, but if I'm in the car and somebody else is driving, I'll use that time to engage. Or, if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching my favorite show, Nashville, which don't tell me what happened because I haven't seen the most recent episode. But like in between commercials or something like that, I'll do that. I mean, anytime that you can. I mean, like I said, it's a full-time job. It's not something that you can just wake up and think that it's going to happen without work. It is a lot of work, and just finding time whenever you can. And it's unfortunate that now it's gotten so crazy that I have a hard time answering everyone, and I have to remind them, like, you guys, I'm human. Like, there's only 24 hours in a day. Like, I'm doing the best I can. I love each and every one of you, and that's why on Twitter you can actually send that out and be like, guys, I know I get your messages. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I can't respond fast enough, but I'm doing my best. And 9 times out of 10, people are going to be understanding of that,
Right.
So there's not like a
Wow.
specific time. Like, I don't say, oh, I spend 4 hours a day, because I could spend 4 hours, or I could spend 8 hours, or I could spend, I'm like always on my phone, which is kind of
Right.
annoying. But as far as like, you miss out on so many like social things sometimes, because everyone's like, you're always on your phone. I'm like, it's a full-time job. It's part
Mm.
of the job,
Yeah, you're thinking about it that way, that it is a job. And I think some people don't get that. They're like, why are you always playing with your phone? I'm like, I'm not playing. I'm, answering emails and doing work and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's hard for people to understand. This is not a normal industry. It's an industry that doesn't sleep. It's an industry that, is a fast-moving industry. So if I miss 3 days of not posting, I can see my numbers go from X amount of retweets and likes to a lower X amount of retweets and likes. So you have to be engaged like that. You just have to nowadays.
Mm.
I think the hardest part is just like there's always new technology, and trying to, whichever technology that you're using, whichever one is the most successful, that's where you should put your time, the majority of your time into, because that's your bread and butter. And then the other ones are ones that you give your time to, but you can kind of use that one big platform to say, hey, follow me on Instagram, or hey, follow me on YouTube, which I'm still growing my Instagram and YouTube. So
Right. You can't be completely successful everywhere. There's no way. You would have to clone yourself a million times,
well, yeah,
you
and you
know?
have to remember that like these big, superstars like Ariana Grande, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, all these people, they hire a company that handles all of that for them. So they might be engaged with some of it, but they have someone following around taking pictures of them while they're going to the radio interview, or while they're going to the grocery store, and then they can upload that, because they're right next to them. They have people in place. It's a business. It's like having a CEO and a vice president, and then the interns and all those other things. I mean, that's why it's called the music business. It's 90% business and 10% talent. And I always say you have to be 100% in that 90 and 100% in that 10 when you're there.
Mm.
So,
Very true. So, on that note about business, can you give us an idea what your streams of income are? Like, how are you supporting yourself with music? Is it a lot about live shows and tours? Is it merchandise? Is it licensing? Where does it all come from?
it's all of that, actually. I mean, it's, the music placements are great. The streaming, the thing is that it's, you're paid in quarters. So there's, you're not getting paid like every single day necessarily for the song placements. You're paid in quarters. And then shows are good. Merchandise is always really, really good. It just depends. I mean, it's all like they all serve their purpose. You know what I mean? So it's
And they just all kind of come together into one big thing, and there's none of them that it's the most important for you.
it's all important.
Mm.
It really is. It's all important. And oh, to go back, sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit, but I wanted to go back and say that also with the live shows, as far as like fan base, it's really important to engage in your fans afterwards and before. So I actually go around and shake people's hands and meet with them, and I, give them glow sticks with my at symbol, or you know, where people can look down and say, "Oh yeah, I want to follow her on Twitter, Instagram." And I engage with the fans live as well, not just online. So I wanted to make sure to
Mm.
say that. I got into my little tangent, but
Absolutely.
um,
But no, I love that idea of giving out glow sticks with your at symbol on it. That's really smart.
yeah, I just like you can, I have like one sponsor that will actually, depending on where the show is at, they'll get the glow sticks and they'll put their logo on it, and then I'll put my logo on the other half of it, and then we give those out. But if I don't have a sponsor for that show, then I mean, you can easily go down to the dollar store, or actually even on Amazon, you can get like, I don't know, 100 glow sticks for like, I don't know, maybe like $6, $8, and you just give those out with, I mean, that's like so inexpensive for marketing purposes, and everyone likes free stuff. And if you're at a concert, who doesn't want a glow stick?
Right.
So you can use it to light up your merch table, and you can, pass it out. I have my diamond cut girls, which are my dancers that go around and they have glow sticks, and they'll give out the glow sticks, and then they have the iPad and they say, "Hey, would you like to get on Dior's mailing list? She's going to send you a free song." And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes. And they also want, the glow stick. And so it makes it easier to make sure that you're getting people's emails, so you can keep them engaged and send out, different newsletters and things like that. So
For sure. You are clearly a smart marketer. You got it. You got it under control.
oh, I'm trying, man. It's just like a trial and error. It's like when you decide to actually do it. I mean, if you would have asked me, gosh, like even 5 years ago, that I would know what I know now that I've learned in the last 2 years, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? You're like, you
Yep.
kind of you just have to get thrown in and figure it out. It's like, I remember going snowboarding for the first time, and it was kind of like a storm. I mean, snowboarding is like it's not really that crazy when you're going to like Big Bear compared to like, Mammoth or anything, but it was my first time, and my friend took me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, come on this chair." And I was like, "Okay, cool. It's the bunny slope, right?" And we got to the top, and it was not the bunny slope.
Oh,
And I had to go all the way down, and I made it. And that's kind of like, you have to sometimes just go, "Okay, I'm going to go to the top of the mountain and figure it out." You got to figure yourself out. So that's,
yeah, that's true. It's a great analogy.
yeah, so.
So before we close this, I did want to mention or bring back that book that you mentioned, because I thought that might be very helpful to artists. What was the name of that?
The 10-second philosophy.
The 10-second philosophy. Okay. And you felt like that was really helpful in kind of getting your artistic philosophy.
Yeah, it just was like, is one of those books that you're like, sometimes you get lost in your identity of what people think that you should be and your day-to-day life. And we set goals, but we have a harder time, meeting those goals when we should actually be setting standards. And it was just one of those books that, I mean, it really, really spoke to me, because I, you know, was trying to figure out who I was as an artist. Yeah. So it opened me up to, listening to that inner voice. It talks about that in the book, and also setting standards for your life, and once you set those standards, people will meet those standards. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, I only wear Christian Louboutin shoes. Like, no, that is a crazy standard. I mean, if you want to have that, that's fine. I would love to, have a ton of pairs of those. But to me, I'm going to set standards of like the people in my life. That's what I took it as, is like the people involved in the project. And I always tell people, I'm like, maybe you have friends like this, but I have some friends where you could literally go and spend $10 on a birthday present, and they're going to love it no matter what. And you know that you can get away with spending like $10 to $20, and they're going to love it no matter what, and wear it until it's, holy or whatever, right? And then you have some friends that you're like, oh, you have to spend like $50 to $100 on them because they
Mm,
like nice things. But what is the difference between those people? It's a standard that they put out there. It's not that they're too good for the $10, but it's the standard of, well, that's what they like. That's who they
mm,
are, And so when you set different standards for your life, whether it be, people who, like for me, I don't surround myself by people who do drugs. That's just not something that I can even comprehend. I can love people that are going through a hard time, but to me, like, I've never done anything like that before. And so to me, my standard is, I've never smoked ever. Well, like I've never smoked weed or like, I don't smoke cigarettes or whatever, like maybe hookah, but not really often because it hurts my voice. And, but because I've never smoked weed before, for instance, my friends that maybe do, even if I wanted to and I beg them, they're like, no, get away. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, get away. Like, no, I'm not letting you do that. You know what I mean? Because I've set that standard of, I don't do this because, or like, I don't really drink soda, or whatever it is. It can be like the stupidest thing. But when you set those standards, people will always meet those standards. And I think that's important, especially as women, because like I said, we have to have good standards because otherwise people will just walk all over you.
For sure, especially in the music business. I mean, you can get yourself into situations where people will ask you to do things that are not
Yes.
something that you would do.
Yes.
And you need to be very strong in that,
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, because I've been in those positions. I was talking with a girlfriend of mine, Sade Champagne. She does inspirational speaking and mentoring with kids. She does a Power of a Dream tour. She is like, she needs to like meet Oprah. She's like Oprah to me. But she was saying, she's like, Djoir, I feel like you're gonna write a book one day. And I may write a book one day. Just talking to girls about, the industry. It's scary, super, super, super scary. You will get asked to do certain things, and a lot of my friends that are in the industry have also gone through things like that, and I gotta tell you, because I have always set the standard of I will never ever sleep my way to the top. I will never ever do things that, you know, or sing about things that I feel are highly inappropriate. You set those different standards, and it's hard because in the moment you're like, oh my gosh, this person has worked with so and so or blah blah blah. It'd be so much easier if I just was his girlfriend or whatever. And just so you know, or I mean, like I'm talking to you like it's just me and you, but there's like all these other people listening. But just so excuse me, I'm just getting over bronchitis, so if you hear me coughing, the people that were high up in the industry that might have approached me, and I said politely, like, no, we're friends, like business is business, and kept it that way, have had more respect for me as an artist than the people that were easily persuaded into doing things that maybe they weren't doing for the right reasons. So with that being said, I want to encourage women and girls, young girls, to know that you are worth so much more and have so much talent that you should never feel like you have to put yourself in a position where, you have to compromise your morals and values for an opportunity, because that's not the case. You'll actually get more respect as a female, and maybe in the moment it won't feel like it, but in the long run you will definitely be in a better position. So
completely agree. And I'm glad you said that. Well, it has been so amazing talking to you. You have so much insight.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're, like I said, you need to become an inspirational speaker because, you've got so much to say on these subjects, and maybe you will write a book someday.
Yeah.
But let people know, if they're not one of your 70,000 followers on Twitter and all that, let them know how they can find you and connect with you online.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my Twitter is at Djoir, Djoir. You can follow me there. Also Instagram at Djoir, Facebook Djoir. Actually, really exciting. Yesterday I got verified on Facebook, which I was like, yay! I got so excited about that little check mark. So you'll know it's me if it has a check mark. And my YouTube is Djoir TV, so DJOIR TV. I'm starting to put up new videos there, hopefully weekly, trying to get consistent with that. And Snapchat Djoir. And yeah, just so many different ways to find me. If you put in Djoir, I'm the only one, DJOIR. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Tweet me or come to a show. I'm, like I said, I'm in the process of recording my EP, which is gonna, we're shooting for early 2016, and we'll do lots of shows leading up to that, planning out a tour. So tell me where you guys want me to be, and we'll try to make it happen.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear the new music. And thank you so much for spending this time with me. It's been really awesome.
Thank you so much, Bree. It's been a pleasure, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Now go out and make great music, connect with your fans, and grow your business. Female Entrepreneur Musician has been brought to you by FEM42.com and FemaleMusicianAcademy.com. With editing by Jen Eads of 317 Sound Design and music by Stella Ronson.